to get to like a basic question. So why do you write? Like what is the thing that pushes you to do that?
Internally compelled
Okay.
to. No, I do approach it as a business. I do make business decisions for my writing and which stories I prioritize writing, how I release them, the effort I put into marketing, what the whole reason I made a YouTube channel. But I am compelled to write.
Yeah. I've tried to quit music many times in my life, and unfortunately I'm compelled to plug into the computer and make songs. Often be much easier not doing that. But, what you want to do is what you want to do. I'm curious, do you feel like there's any hope with like translating mediums? Like maybe books aren't the thing, but obviously like video games are the biggest thing in the world. And is your story going to be the one that gets translated?
Uh, well, these particular stories that I've written so far, no. Because I wrote stories that are correct to be prose novels, because that's what I am at my audience size. That's what's intelligent for me to be doing. Uh, I have stories that I want to turn into graphic novels, for example. I have, right now, I'm finishing up a manuscript I'm going to be submitting to a contest that I think is fantastic. I think the series of everything I produced with the most potential for people to enjoy. And I want to get that into board games. I've got a living card game designed for it that should be a lot of fun. It hits a niche in the market that I just don't have the funds to really go after. Um, I want to. I'm dreaming of a 2D hack and slash video game. I want to build inspired by the series. Uh, yeah, no, I would love to get into other mediums, but there's the obvious issue with those other mediums. Let's just start with comic books. If I want to produce a comic book based on one of my short stories, that's going to be a super nice and tight horror story at 70 pages. I need $7,000 for the internal artwork. And I need to raise $7,000 by pre selling copies that I'll also have to be printed. So I have to sell a graphic novel at like the $35 price point if I'm only going to be selling, say, 200 copies based on my audience size. Now, if I can amortize the art price across 2,000 sales, whoa, suddenly it starts making more sense. Suddenly it's competitive. I'm getting bulk print rates. If I can split it over 20,000 sales because I have this enormous reach like Eric July has, whoa, suddenly I can sell that graphic novel for like $15. And suddenly that's when it starts making sense for people to buy it, because a 90-page graphic novel is maybe 2 hours of entertainment. So I'm asking them to spend $7.50 an hour, which is that's luxury rates of entertainment, and that's at the wild success mark. $35 for 2 hours of entertainment is absurd.
Well, but I will argue, like, what are we getting entertainment wise out there to compete? Like, if you're giving me good entertainment, I'll pay for it.
Well, on the other hand, though, I could sell you a paperback. I could sell you a paperback for $17, and this is 10 hours of entertainment. So I'd almost be competing with myself in a sense. Uh, and then obviously the math just gets more absurd. Like if I want to release a simple game, like I said, a 2D hack and slash, I'm probably going to need $500,000 in funding for the assets and the programming, the coding, and development, and marketing and such. How would I raise $500,000 with a large audience?
Well, but that's the thing. The bottom line you can't get around is it doesn't matter what you're doing. Like you do need an audience. You need to attract people. It all does come back to the marketing. That's why I do what I do. And I guess my frustration is like I was watching your interview and Sanderson talking about, well, everyone's got to go and become a celebrity to bring readers in. You can't just bring people in. I think Sanderson forgets that the reason Sanderson is a thing is because he took over and gained pretty quick celebrity for being the guy that finished the Wheel of Time books. He didn't spend necessarily.
Right. But that was an opportunity that went to him because he proved himself to a industry that he had creative talent. And they
Absolutely.
said, okay, so we have a machine that we can slot you into because of an untimely death, which, by the way, Robert Jordan said basically anointed him as his
Yeah,
successor.
absolutely. I remember. My dad was a Wheel of Time guy, so I remember when it happened.
Okay, don't hate me. I've never finished Wheel of Time. It gets so boring
I've
when
not
I'm
read a
going through.
single book, but I take it for what they are. They seem like they're too politics for me for the same reason I never got into you know, George R.R. It's all, I don't know, kings and shit. I don't care about kings. I want to hear about like the guys in the ground level hacking and slashing.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Unfortunately, there is a tendency to end up writing only about the kings and the nobles because they're the ones that make the decisions. I think you'd want to go check out Black Company if that's what you're looking for, is on the ground peons. Although I didn't really get the appeal of Black Company, to be honest.
Well, and I'd be lying if I didn't say like, look, the bottom line is that you go out there, people like the intrigue. That's why people watch Real Housewives of LA because they like the stupid drama. And I'm not that guy. Like that's why like when I saw people getting really into creating like new pulp, like I'm like, oh, I like that. That's my kind of thing. Give me more Lovecraftian kind of shit.
It depends. I'm very leery as a consumer of people that are just like, oh my god, I am writing a return to form, going back to basics, like the good old days of Robert E. Howard. And it's just like, bro, I can read Robert E. Howard instead. Why would I read yours? I can read 80 years of people working with publishers writing more Conan stories that nobody likes. Why would you be any different?
Well, I mean, but that's because some writers are better than other writers. I mean, the bottom line is, sure,
Yeah, but if you market yourself as return to form, you're then getting compared against one of the most successful fantasy stories of all time, and that's not a favorable comparison.
I guess for me, you're marketing your like, when you're doing that, you're not marketing yourself as a return to form. What you're doing is saying, here's you're comparing yourself to something to in place in somebody's mind, like, hey, this is what we're like. I mean, to me, it's always like the what are you like and how much does that matter? Like a lot, one of the things I struggle with writers is that they all want to talk about their story, and they're all kind of the same. Like there's only so many fucking stories. Like we all know that, and we kind of ignore it because we want the new story. For me, like I find so few writers focusing on what does matter, which is your main character. Like if you have a main character that I resonate and can kind of see myself into, like why the fuck does everybody like Sherlock Holmes after all these years? Because he's just the character himself is something that you find something that you resonate with. The question I always ask is if you look at the X-Men, is there a single person on the planet who doesn't have a favorite X-Men that knows the X-Men? Like you, within them, you find the thing that you gravitate towards. You know, I like Beast and Nightcrawler; those are my guys. You know, some people like Cyclops. I think Cyclops is the worst character ever made, but he does kind of make the other characters cooler by comparison.
So I have definitely heard and seen people that fit the mold of what you're describing, but I want to defend myself because for me, for my series, the main character doesn't make sense until you realize that the reason he's the main character is because he is a reaction to the setting. And the setting is important because it is a reflection of today, cranked up to 11 with some cool technology and, waifus and stuff. So I do have to lead with a discussion about the setting, the tone, and such, because the character is the contrast point. He is the guy that says, "No, I am still going to be a good person."
I'd never say that the story doesn't matter. Like the bottom line, like I want a horror story, I want a science fiction story, I want a cyberpunk story. That's very important to what you're doing. Like it's not unimportant. It's just I think some writers tend to like I'm rewriting Tolkien here and I've fixed all the problems. Like really you're just telling a story, bro, and it's either good or bad. You got to give me a finger hold in there. What's the hook? What's the thing that makes it different? And they're usually if you're focusing on story, there's usually not much different between your story and somebody else's, frankly. Right on.